Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Parity 4x4s. Now, we've played a few of these 4x4 puzzles. Were they always 4x4? Sometimes they were like 2x4. Yeah, I'm confusing myself. We've played these 4x4 puzzles before from Sir Moose. Sometimes they actually haven't been 4x4s, sometimes it was 4x2s. But they're always quite interesting in that they play a little bit differently. It's still familiar, it's still Sudoku, it's just that there is almost like sub-Sudoku or subgrids of Sudoku that adds a little bit of a twist onto the normal variants. Now, if I've confused you, don't worry, I think the rules are pretty clear, even if I am going to confuse you when I take you through it. Hopefully, the puzzle itself will not be overly confusing. It's got a 92% rating, so people have clearly enjoyed this, and we should be in for a great time ahead. Let's take a look at today's puzzle of Parity 4x4s by Sir Moose. Rules-wise, we've got the following. This Sudoku grid is made up of 4x4 Sudokus. You can see 4x4, and there's clearly 1 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them. Each is made up of exactly 4 of the digits 1 to 9. So clearly, I only have an 8x8 overall. I'm not going to be able to place all of the digits 1 to 9. Each of these subgrids, so to speak, or sub-Sudokus, need to have their own selection of the 4 digits. And I know that because the next rule says digits cannot repeat in any row, column, or 2x2 box. So if I pick 1, 2, 3, 4 in here, they're no longer available in this subgrid because this has to be unique, this row has to be unique, this column has to be unique, and every 2x2 square, as outlined by these thicker, darker lines, have to also be unique. So if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, this is also 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, each 4x4 Sudoku is made up entirely of either odd or even digits. So my 1, 2, 3, 4 example actually doesn't work. If I make, say, this is 2, 4, now that's a bad example. If this is 2, 8, this has to be 4, 6 because the entirety of this Sudoku grid now, this sub-Sudoku grid, this 4x4, is even. And obviously even digits, there's only 4 of them, so this would be 4 or 6, this would be 2 or 8, etc., etc. Digits in a cage sum to the given number. I very carefully, deliberately picked the fact that these two cells, they have to add up to 10, and 4 and 6 clearly do. These could be 2 and 4 to add up to 6, etc. Now, last but not least, orthogonally adjacent digits cannot be consecutive. So if that cell here, let's say, is an 8, sorry, is a 2. What am I saying? It is 8. And this was a 4. The surrounding cells, admittedly within the square it almost is useless, but across is quite interesting. They cannot be consecutive. They couldn't be 7 or 9. If I place either of them in there, that's going to break the puzzle. So that's all the rules we have for today. It does feel like it'll be a bit of a challenge, but I think we're all up for it. As always, to play this particular puzzle, link will be in the description down below for you to do so. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock, see how I get on. Now, I'm sure that's already occurred to you that because this one is even or odd, I don't know what the parity is, but let's say it's purple. So if this is even, 2, 4, 6, 8, I can't use even anymore in the same column or row because I've used all 4 evens. The next one along would have to be odd, let's say green. And the same logic applies to the same row. That would be green. Same logic applies. No, there's only 5 odds. So if there are 5 odds, I can't have another, I can't have 4 odds in one and then another 4 independent odds. So yeah, this is correct. There have to be like a checkerboard pattern of parities in here. Now, I'm guessing the orthogonally adjacent digits cannot be consecutive. It's very much trying to point us towards this direction. Well, not just this direction, but I guess where the borders actually overlap, because that will help us. So these are the interesting cells where digits cannot be consecutive. course, if this is even, the fact that they are even, they can never be consecutive. They are 2 apart, not 1 apart. And the same would be true if they are odd. They are again 2 apart, not 1 apart. So the only room where this rule set around orthogonally adjacent could matter, orthogonally adjacent just cannot be consecutive, is actually in here. So this is probably where our break-in lies. We need to kind of think about that. And here is something that's interesting. So imagine that this 12 here. If this is odd, it'll be 5 or 7, or 3 or 9. If it's even, it can only be 4 or 8. And you can already see that the 4 would be consecutive next to the 3 or 5 option. So the 3 or 5 would have to be in here. And then the 7 or 9 would also be consecutive with the 8. So there's clearly a bit of interplay there. There's also a bit of interplay between the 6 gauge, because one of them will be 1, 5, one of them will be 2, 4. And again, if this is 1, that can't be 2. If this is 5, that can't be 4. But what I'm not seeing is the break-in. Yeah, because in the same column, there is like almost no interaction beyond just kind of these corners. Because if this is even and this is 1, 5, well, I know that this is, odd, and this is 1, 5. Well, I know that this is now even, and 2, 8, and 4, 6 have 0 interaction with the 1, 5. I'm just going to have a think. 6, 8, I mean, the 6 wouldn't be in here, the 6 would be in there, it would have to be in the 14, so that would be 6, that would be 8. To get to 12, that would have to be 4, 8. That would be 2, that would be 4. So yeah, like I don't think in a single box I'm going to be able to break it. 6 would be 2, 4, 8, 4, that would be the 2, that would be the 4. Yeah, same logic. 2, 8 or 4, 6, there's plenty of options. Now if I try odd, that would be 5, 9. And then of course I could have either 3, 9 or 5, 7. Just not 1. Yeah, so not helpful. Interesting. So the 10 cages. Let's think about it. If it's 2, 8 or 4, 6. 2, 8 obviously exerts a lot more pressure than 4, 6 because 4, 6 is on the extreme. Same kind of logic with the 1, 9 is it's on the extreme. The 3, 7 is what it essentially interacts. So I'm not actually sure what is going on. How do we get our break-ins? So I have essentially 2 options ahead of me. One option is basically bifurcation. I just make an assumption that one of these is even, one of these is odd, proceed forward, and essentially look for where it breaks or doesn't break, and we'll have a solution around these corners. The other option, which is a lot more ugly, I'll be honest, is to somehow try and use letters to represent kind of geometric numbers that at some point we will disprove where it can't be or can be consecutive. Genuinely interesting question. I think I'm going to have to try and give this a go with letters. How is this 1 star? Unless I'm like missing something incredibly obvious, I don't see how this is 1 star now. Half tempted to go and check if that's what Sir Moose had given it. Thing is, once the community has voted on the difficulty, it's actually very difficult to try and find what the author gave it. So if this is A as in 1, this can't be B, this would be B, this would be D. A, if this is 1, that would be the 5, so that would be the E. A unfortunately has like nothing on the 12 gauge. So 1 and 5 means that this is, where am I going with this? So 2, 4. the 6 can't be inside the 12 inside there. So this would have to be the F, and therefore BD, F, this would have to be H, this would have to be D, and it breaks. What? So if that's 1, that would have to be 4, that would have to be 2, and because there is a 4, it breaks the 12 cage immediately. So clearly that can't be 1. Fascinating already. And if that's 4, that wouldn't be 3 or 5. That would be the 3 or 5. And because, yeah, hang on. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. One of the challenges I was thinking essentially is the 12 cage could be either 3-9 or 5-7, but the fact that the 6 cages are in here, it forces an option, because essentially there's a choice around whether it's 3 or 5. Once you place the 1, so let's explore this. This is 3, 7, 9. But now I know I can't have the 1 inside the 12 cage, so the 1 would have to be here. And therefore the 5 would have to be there, so it would have to be 5, 7. Yeah, so it leaves an optionality around the 3 and 9. But it would be something as such. Interesting. Now the 5 can never be inside a 10 cage. The fact that we have a 1 would make this 1, 9. Admittedly, I could have it as 3, 7 inside the 10 cage, so that doesn't help. Now, for a second, I thought the combination of 6 and 12 will force me to pick between the remaining 3 options, the 3, 9, 7, and it doesn't. You see, what I'm going to do for a bit, actually, is just play around with it. Try and essentially understand the geometry of this. Maybe what I need to do is think about highs and lows. Is that what I meant to do? Let me think about this. So I'm going to use some colors. Essentially, this is either 5, 9 or 6, 8. And the 12 cage would have to have either the 5, 9 or the 6, 8 cage in it. So it can't be, whatever this cell is, has to be inside a 12 cage. So like essentially there's an orange cell in here that's also in there. And it's not here. Problem with 5 is that I can't place it inside the 10 anyway. Huh. Very interesting. So for my sanity, I'm going to just plug in some numbers to try and see what's going on and see how that helps me. 4, 8, not 4, not 2, 6, 8, 2, 4. Sorry, 2, 6. Now, if this is 4, 6, that would be 2 and 8. If this is 2, 8, that would be 6 and 4. So I can't make any progress at this point. The 2 in here makes us 1 and 5. The 5 in here tells me that this is 3 and 9, which gives me another 3, 9 in here. and therefore this is a 1. So 2, 4, same logic, 8, 4. So this one, if it's even, it's like entirely forced to some degree, which is interesting. Now the 5 couldn't be here next to the 4, so that would be the 5, that would be the 3, 9. And then the rest of this is another 5, which could go anywhere, and a 3, 9. And then the 3, 9 is interesting, it can't be next to the 2, and it can't be next to the 8, depending on what it is. In here, you have a bit of a challenge. So this is 5, 9. And then this is 1, 3, or 7. It's not 3. This is 1, 3, or 7. This is 3 or 9 or 7 or 5, the same challenge that we've had previously. Fascinating. I don't know how you solve this actually. The 6 just doesn't interact with the 3, 9. The 4 does with the 3. The 8 does with the 9. But it gives you a direction. It's not a very... It's a direction that's helpful, not in here, but for the 10. Because essentially, if this is 4, that would be 8, and that would make this 4, 6. So this wouldn't be 1... Hang on, I made a mistake somewhere. That would be an 8. So this, I mean, this wouldn't be 1 or 3. This would be 5, 7, or 9. This wouldn't be 5 or 7. This would be a 1, 3, 9. You see again the same interaction with the 4 and 8. And this wouldn't be 7 or 9. This would be 1, 3, 5. This couldn't be a 3 next to the 4. So that would be the 9. That would be the 3. That would be the 9. That would be the 3. That 3 removes the 4, 8. Now this couldn't be 4, 6. It would be 2, 8, which then gives me 6 and 2. Sorry, what did I just do? The other way around. 6 and 2. 4 and 6. 2 and what? 2 and 4, 6 and 8. And then it's kind of down to the interactions in here with this 2, 8. This couldn't be a 3. So essentially we know what these are. So I'd need a 5 and a 3. The 3 can't be here. That's 3, that's 5. Then we have 1, 9. Three, 9, 1, 5. So strange. And this being 1, 9 makes this 3, 7. And then it can't be 7 next to the 6. That can't be 3. That is 7. So that's not 8. And you just end up solving the whole thing. But I mean, like, I picked at random. I'm not appreciating this at all. I'm not getting it. And this is 109? No, it breaks. Because this is 109. And you have to have 5 and you have to have a 5 in here if this is odd. So that would have to be 1, not 9. But it still makes this 3, 7. And this would have to be 5. Okay. So this is clearly not 9. This is 5 or 7. But we know, yeah, it is 5-7 pair. That's not very interesting. We know nothing. There is no 1 in this grid now, so no 1. This has to be, there has to be a 3. And it's just like solving from just picking at random that this is 2. What's that again? Well, it's another 5-9, but it can't be 9 because this is not 3-9. So it has to be 9, excuse me. And this is 5-7. And that's the entire grid solved. Like entirely based on bifurcation. And I am genuinely tempted to just enter it to confirm that this is the correct solution. And then try and figure out why it is the correct solution, why other solutions are not possible. So bear with me. Come on. Oh, right. Yeah, I have to do that. Yeah. That's going to be lengthy if I have to do this. Let me just remove the colors, pardon me, and then see if I can do this. It's too clever of a puzzle for me, Sir Moose, so that was just a random solution. So rather than restarting, let's just see if I can understand why this is the way it is. What was so special about this solution compared to the others? To the other potential ones? So if I had 4, so okay, so if this is even, this was always forced because this is 4-8, and therefore this couldn't be 4 in the 2-4 option in the 6. So if this is even, this is forced. The entire thing is forced. But my choice of whether it's even or odd was random. So the question is, and once this is sort of 4-2 in that order, this ends up being 5, ends up being 1, 9, 3, like everything else flowed from that single decision that this square is even. Now, just as equal was the option that it was odd. Yeah. Let's have a think about this one. So like, I'm pretty sure I could have made this one, this square even, because it's just, I'm trying to start with 1 where the combination of cages kind of forces my hand a bit, like the 12 looking at the 6 cage. So I am going to restart. And I'm going to start that this, the assumption is this is even, which makes this 2-4. Now the 6 can't be inside the 12th cage, so that has to be the 6, this has to be the 8, and therefore this has to be 4-8, and this is 2, and this is 4, and we're already off and racing with somewhat of a forced placement of items. Now this would have to be 1-5, and these are 3-7-9. This would also have to be 1-5, and these are 3-7-9s. Now this would make this even. We can use the same logic that we did earlier here, that this has to be 4-8, which makes this the 2, the 4, the 8, the 4, the 6, and we can place a whole bunch of digits once again in here, 2 and 8. You could see the 2 interacts with the 6, but no further. This ends up being 1-5, and the 1 has to be on that side and the 5. So like this, because of the placement of the 12 in here, the 2-5 is actually always forced. That's very hard to spot. And you end up with a 1-4 pair. Fascinating. The 5 in here makes this not 5-7, it makes this 3-9. And then it breaks. Wow. Right, right. Here is how to solve it without bifurcation. These are always 1, 5, 2, 4. Whichever one is even, whichever one it is, will always remove the 4 from in here. So the 4 disappears from the inner section, the 2 disappears from the outer section. Now, because it's a 2, you can't have a 1 next to the 2, that's consecutive. So you remove the 1, and then you remove the 5 from the outer section. Now, whichever one is odd, it has a 5 in it, and it makes the 12 3, 9, because it can't be 5, 7. And if you put 3, 9 in here with a 5, remember it's the same 4 digits consistently. That would have to be a 1, that would have to be a 5, that would have to be a 1, and I've got a double 1. So that forces this to be even. This ends up being 6, 8. This ends up being 4, 8. So that's the 6, that's the 4, right. Sorry, that's the 8. And we can solve it from here. You just need to see this single entry to allow you to get this far. 1, and therefore this is 2, 4, 2, 4. 6, 8 can't be a 6, that's the 8, that's the 4, that's the 2, that's the 6, that's the 4, that's the 2, that's the 4, 8, 8, 6, 6, 2, 4, 2, 6, 8. It's less impressive now that I've actually kind of done it once, but phenomenal puzzle. Maybe a bit too clever for me, Sir Moose. Sorry about that. I don't think I've necessarily shown it in the best possible light. Then we have a 5 that can't be in here, so that's the 5. This is 3 or 9, it can't be 3. That's 9, that's 3, that's 9, that's 3. Then I have 3 and 5, can't be 3, that's the 3, that's the 5. Then what was it again? 1, 9, let's just keep this easy. 5 can't be here, so that's 1, that's 5, that's 1, that's 9, that's 3, that's 9. The 3 in here gives me 8, 4, that makes this 2, 8, that makes this 6, 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, and 6, 8. Now, what was it about the 10 cage that kind of helped me close it all up? Not sure. I should probably just focus on these. So not 1 or 3, it's 5, 7, or 9, not 6. Sorry, so not 5 or 7, it's 1, 3, or 9. Can't be a 3 next to the 4, so this is 1, 9, which gave me the 3, 7 pair. And then I have to have a 5 because of the 14 cage, so that's 5. I have to have a 9 because of the 14 cage, that's 9. This is not the 9, this is 3, 7. And in fact, it's 3, 7. I don't have 1, so that's a 7. And I've got 3, 5, 7, 9. So that has to be 3. That makes this 5, 7. That makes this a 9, a 5. That 5 gave me 7 and 5, 9, 3, 7 pair. Guessing there's some interaction here. Yeah, but there you go. The 6 gives me the 3, the 7, the 2, the 8, 6, 8, 4, 2, 4, 6, 3, 5, 7, 9, 3. What an incredible puzzle. Really clever, Sir Moose. I'm sorry I didn't actually spot this straight away, and it required me to bifurcate and get lucky, then go back and retrospectively try and determine it. Hope you guys got on better than I did, but what a phenomenal puzzle regardless. See you back for the next video. Bye-bye for now.